6 o'clock on November 2nd, 2015. I'd like to call the Newfane Selectboard meeting to order. Welcome the members in BCTV and the people in the public. Ms. Shannon. Before we get going on it, we need to make a couple of additions to the agenda. As you know, we have to do that before the meeting gets going. The first one would be the Arch Bridge. And I need somebody to make a motion to add the Arch Bridge to new business.
Make a motion, Ed.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to add the Arch Bridge to the new business. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed or abstaining? The second motion we need would be to add the recycling bins to the old business. We need a motion for that too.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to add the recycling bins to old business.
I got one other thing too.
Alright.
One of the town guys there wanted me to just bring up something about his pay or something tonight.
Oh yeah?
So I just figured I'd just say that to you guys, so.
You gonna add it to the meeting or?
Yeah, I told him I'd let everybody know tonight, so.
So make a motion to add it to new business.
So we need to add a personnel issue to new business if somebody wants to make the motion.
Make a motion to that thing.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to add personnel to the new business as well. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We need to vote on the recycling bins too. All those in favor of putting that on your old business, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, now I think we can go along with the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to read the October 19th minutes? Yeah. Could I get a motion one way or the other?
Motion.
To accept? Second. Motion's been made and seconded to accept the minutes of October 19th, 2015. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstaining? The ayes have it. Next order of business would be the road foreman's report, if I can find it. Alright. The roads are still in pretty good shape. We are continuing to do grading and hauling gravel. We have also been doing some ditching and cleaning culverts. We swapped some time with Dummerston. We hauled for them for, I don't know if it was a day or 2 days, one or the other, two of our trucks.
Saw that.
And they, in turn, are using their tractor to blow the leaves out of our ditches and out of the culverts help us clean that up. We're gonna be
Pretty
hauling.
good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it works really well.
I watched it go by my house. I was thinking, wow.
Yeah, it works very well. And we're gonna haul for them again. I believe it's Wednesday, depending on what Lee's doing. And they'll run the tractor another couple of days for us, so.
Okay.
They're not gonna be able to do the whole town just because we're running out of time, but they're gonna get quite a bit of the town done for us, which is really good. And that's where you see a lot of times the road foreman's meetings and stuff we've been talking about, towns using other parts of equipment and stuff. So we actually chlorided Brookline's roads for them a month ago. And so we've been working back and forth with the town, which is a good thing. As far as the equipment goes, the F600 chloride truck, we had a brake line blowing that the other day, so they pulled it in the shop and changed brake lines on that. The 2013 Mack went to State Line for some warranty work. The new loader finally had a two-way radio installed in it with warning lights as well. Caterpillar's paying for that because that was part of the bid. The 09 Sterling went to Twin State for some admission problems. The grader had a pin and bushing replaced in the steering that was done in our garage as well. Our guys did that. As far as the parking ride goes, I think we finished the parking ride other than getting some signs. I got to get together with Shannon and find out what the sign is supposed to say. But I think it came out really well. I've had a lot of people that are pretty happy with it, so that was good. Depot Road, Fitzpatrick Excavating is working on Depot Hill. The job should be done sometime this week. So that section of the road will be safe again, not only for the summer, but especially the winter. Mike, you want to update anything on it?
Oh, sounds good.
The Arch Bridge, I've gotten some prices on fixing the railing on the Arch Bridge. Renault Brothers is the lowest, and I think we should hire him at $17,500 to repair the downstream side railing that they're worried about. The prices ranged from $17,500 to $49,500. And Renault can start on that railing work right off. The bridge inspectors, they're the ones that told us they wanted the rails fixed to seal it up because they're afraid that the water and frost keeps doing more damage to that side of the bridge. We've got the arch bridge done in our new business though, so we'll take that up, hiring somebody at that point. Williamsville Hall, I've got a phone call into Jeff Russ to come shut off the heat and winterize the plumbing. He should be over sometime this week to get that done. Roadside mowing is almost done for this year, but it's now been 2 years that we haven't got the over the rail done. And I just hope the board will consider a tractor for the budget for next year, a used tractor. That is all I have. If somebody wants to make a motion one way or the other, if you have questions or.
I'll make a motion to set the report.
Is there a second?
A second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the road foreman's road commissioner's report. Is there any discussion?
I just got a question, Tom, on the park and ride. Any, I know we talked about it a few weeks ago about some motion detector lights out there. Because as you come in now, you really realize just how dark that.
Yeah.
We could add it to our budget for next year. I don't know. Well, there's money for the town office in the budget.
Well, that's, I mean, I'm not talking about, poles and big lights. I think if we
Clear
just got
outside.
off the side of the building might be sufficient and wouldn't be that costly.
I can get a price from Kevin Mowry and see what it would be.
Yeah.
Because there's one here, so all you have to do really is tie it in and bring it over.
Yeah, well, I mean, like the corner, so over here, and then something, because I noticed tonight when I pulled in, it's really pretty dark out there. So.
I noticed it as well, and it's basically just the entrance. It is so
Yeah.
dark on the ground for
You
the
can't see it.
entrance, and even the white arrows don't really pop out. So you really are kind of wondering, is this the entrance or? Yeah.
I will get some prices on it for the next meeting.
Okay.
I have a question. How many bids did we get for the Arch Bridge?
3.
Okay.
I called for 4. One company didn't respond at all. But we'll go over those when we get down to the.
And the other one, replacing the sterling that was done in the garage, that was just one person doing it, or everybody working together?
Which one is that?
Right here, the grader?
Yeah, 2 guys are working on it.
Okay.
Anybody got anything else? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the road foreman's road commissioner's reports, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstaining, I obviously abstaining. Ayes have it. Hiring a part-time road crew member, that would be, I'll turn the meeting over to you for that because
Well,
it's my son that you're talking about and I don't want a conflict.
what? All right, we had a motion, we worked last meeting and had a motion to fill the part-time road crew position. However, the motion was taken and the discussion was had so that it was not available for the public to view. And so, being that is actually not legal, we do need to redo that again, revisit that again.
Did you guys skip unscheduled members of the public?
No, you got this down as road business.
Oh, it's under road business. I'm sorry. Carry on.
Well, I'll make that motion again, then that we hire Nick
Okay.
Lally as the part-time
Well,
employee. He's already
We
part-time.
need to actually, not the motion again.
Yeah, I had a question on it, which I had emailed Shannon on it. And the agenda side of it, I understand, but wouldn't this be increasing the capacity of his responsibilities rather than hiring him because he is already a town employee? And
Yes.
that was the question that I had.
Yes, so I might suggest that you make a motion to, what you said, increase it from
To include,
on-call maintenance to include on-call highway maintenance or something like
Well, I think what
that.
I said last week was to take Jay's place of what Jay did.
Right,
Well-
but he's actually more because he comes in and does light bulbs and he, closes stuff up for, you know, in the winter. So really, I think you're just increasing his responsibilities. And as long as the motion, as long as it says he's seasonal, which means less than 120 days per year, because otherwise he could work 30 hours a week.
Yeah.
And we have to pay him for it, but we don't have a budget for it.
Okay.
So if that all makes sense, then you could
No, that makes sense.
jumble it all up into one.
I think probably the original motion, I don't even remember who made it, but the original motion was kind of like hiring. Like we were hiring a new employee, and we really weren't. We were
Right.
just increasing his responsibilities to include winter snow removal.
I think we said that though, at least from my point of view.
No, we
that
actually said hire
Yeah.
as if it were a new position,
Right.
a
Well-
part-time position.
So, let me just see.
Is he, what,
He was working part-time, but
Right.
now we wanted him, now what we're voting on is to have him increase the number of hours that he's working and also increase the responsibilities and the job description.
that brings up a good question. Do we actually know, the responsibilities that are increasing? What, you know,
I think
is there
I
a
think
job
we talked
description for
about it.
that position?
Well, it would be snow removal, that's what though.
Right.
Yeah. Winter snow removal, because that was what Jay did. So we'd be replacing
Right, we're replacing what
what
Jay
Jay
did.
did.
So there was a vacancy when Jay moved up
Right,
to
I guess I
full-time.
know that.
So that's the
Yeah.
job description, the part-time
Mhm.
work that Jay did. There's already, I assume, a job description for what Jay did, is that
No,
correct?
we don't really.
No, it's not for, the full-time employees have a job description.
So part-time do not have a job
Or
description.
Shannon's gonna get one,
You and I drafted one earlier in the week.
right?
Mhm.
I can print that out if you want.
But it is an existing position
Right.
that has been,
But it's
Phil.
being modified in that the job duties are actually changing somewhat, increasing a little, and the hours are also increasing.
Mhm.
So it has changed. It's not the identical job.
Yep.
So we do have a position description that was drafted. I have a copy of it here, and it looks like Shannon's going to be getting it. It's, I don't know what we actually should do. Should we vote to fill the position before we actually have the position in a job description, and then do that later? What is your view on that?
Well,
Because
I mean,
we did not have a job description for the job that Jay had. And even if we did, this position is different.
I mean, I would agree that we should have a job description, but I think because of the timing of the year, I think it might be wise to vote it in now and then ASAP put a job description together. That would be my thought on it. Because lo and behold, if we get a Thanksgiving snowstorm like we did
Right.
last year, we could be in a pinch.
Do we know how many hours this position is most likely going to be increasing?
As long as it does not amount to more than 120 days per year, doesn't matter.
Okay.
That's the cutoff for needing to offer different,
But there are
Benefits.
no more hours per,
The only time basically that
Well,
you
you
have a
can't-
part-time employee like Jay was when we had a
Right.
snowstorm or ice
and you
storm.
can't really
so
calculate.
it's on call.
Right.
Yep.
I have a draft motion that I'll,
Yeah. I haven't.
It's
I'm
governed
not
by
sure.
Mother Nature, basically.
thank you.
right, I mean, you can't really calculate.
This is just a draft. It's not
Right.
finalized yet.
But I think the 120 hours is actually, it's actually in the
120 days.
current, personnel policy.
It's the law that but when you hire somebody, you have to make sure that you're, making it very clear that
Yeah.
they're not to exceed that.
Okay.
So what
should
do we
probably-
think about going forward with hiring and then maybe later on, or even later this meeting, come up with a draft for the job description? Is that what you're thinking?
That's
So-
fine, or we can put something together for the job description and vote on at the next meeting,
Good.
rather than, you know, sometimes when you try to do something in the meeting.
Right, absolutely.
The only thing I would suggest is that we also include the requirements that we had added, which were the evaluation after 90 days and the CDLB, because that was part of that.
Within a year, right?
Excuse me?
Was within a year?
It was within a year for
Okay,
the
so-
CDLB and 90-day evaluation and potential raise consideration at that time,
Okay.
you know, provided to supervisor and field.
And we
supervisor.
actually came up with the motion last time for the hourly wage.
Yep,
Was it
it was $13
Okay.
an hour, yeah.
And then after 6 months with the evaluation, it was going to go up to 14.
I think it was 90 days.
Yeah, we were gonna do an
Yeah.
evaluation
Right,
at
and
90
then-
days.
And then have it go up to $14.
Yeah, I believe Mike had suggested 14, and that was
Yeah.
where we decided to go with it.
Is that what you remember doing? Okay.
Sounds good.
So I'm gonna need a motion.
Do you want me to read you what I have and see if you like that?
You wanna
Sure.
speak a little louder?
Sure. I'll read you the motion that I kind of jumbled together. You
Okay.
can change it. A motion was made by somebody to increase the responsibilities of Nick Lawley from on-call maintenance to on-call maintenance and seasonal highway maintenance at a rate of $13 per hour with a 90-day wage evaluation and CDLB within a year, hours not to exceed 120 days per year.
It was very close to what we said. And
Very
good
good.
job. I
Thank
mean,
you.
mental telepathy is amazing with Shannon. I mean, she wasn't even here.
I think you have to define not to exceed hours, you have hours and $120, 120,
Days.
Days
120.
per year.
how many hours in a day?
It says
Doesn't
30
matter.
hours per week.
Okay,
So part-time is 30 hours per week.
okay,
Seasonal is 120 days per year.
okay.
Which I believe could mean it could be 30 hours that week, or it didn't have to be 30
It has to
hours
be
that week.
consecutive, like regularly 30 hours per week.
It does.
Yes,
Doesn't mean that you can't work 50 one week. yeah.
exactly. But as long as you're not,
10 minutes.
yeah.
Okay. So, do we have a motion including that?
I'll make such a motion that we accept that, as Shannon
So moved.
just described it, because I don't
And
remember
we
what I
have a
said.
A second.
And we have a second. Any discussion? Further discussion? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Looks like that motion carries.
I abstained, just for the record.
We know, you're out of the picture.
You weren't even in the room.
I wish, she said I couldn't leave.
There you go. You can't.
All right. Are you done? Are you all set with it?
I'm finished.
Hold on. I'm catching up. Just talk slow.
Okay. We're to scheduled members of the public. Gloria was gonna be here to speak, but Gloria had an accident and has hurt herself, so we hope she gets better. Maybe she'll be at the next meeting. She fell and injured herself. Unscheduled members of the public?
I'll volunteer. What's the status of the roadside plowing?
Roadside what?
Plowing?
Mowing?
Mowing.
We have to wait for snow.
I know, mowing.
Mowing, I thought you said plowing.
I did say plowing. Roadside plowing.
He did it first.
Um,
but then he
He
changed.
missed
They,
your road corner.
have they done?
I mean, they don't need to come past my house.
No, but I mean, has he been up Newfane now? I thought he was up Newfane now.
I have no idea.
I'll look tomorrow.
We
It has
have-
not been good this year.
No.
We
Wait
had the
till we
li-
owe him a full tariff?
Well,
Right now, he's got, everything is dried up and disappeared.
We'll see what he says for a bid, or for Bill. Now you got me talking funny things. If you've done,
We had a leaf blower go by,
Did?
Yeah, that was
Emerson's
pretty
tractor.
fancy. It was really actually fancy. I had to go out and watch it. It was amazing.
That's
Very-
what, if we buy a tractor, we should do the same thing.
And it was really shiny, new, polished.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, it looked good.
Yeah.
It's a big help.
If you get
Especially
two
when you
guys
have
on a
those-
bicycle running down Newfane Hill, same effect as a leaf.
Plowing the snow? Is that what
No,
you said? Riding bikes plowing snow?
no.
Oh,
If you ride a bicycle down Newfane Hill quickly, the turbulence will blow the leaves also.
Yes.
I
You
wanna
don't
see-
have to have a tractor.
I'm going to watch when you do this. I want to see this.
Well, the thing about the ditches along the hill, they're very deep. So I don't think the bicycle would actually do the
No,
trick.
you don't go in the ditch.
No, I know, but you're supposed to blow them out so when the, isn't that
Well,
correct?
Gunther ends up in the
Yeah.
ditch.
I think that's going to be in the ditch on the way home. Is there any other, would you like to speak some more?
I would, but I have nothing to say.
Okay, moving on. Administrative assistance report. That would be you.
I'll see if I can do it. Okay, 279 Dover Road. The demolition has been completed. I haven't received an invoice yet, but once I do, we'll pay it and then submit it for reimbursement and the project can be closed out.
Yay.
Which will leave us with 246 Dover Road. We have been given the go-ahead to begin work. I sent out all the required paperwork to the homeowner who will sign it, notarize it, all that stuff, send it back to me, and then we can do the appraisal, and then schedule a closing date. And this will be our last buyout, so I'll be happy to get that one done. On the recycling bins, I spoke with the head of Public Works in Brattleboro, and I spoke with the assistant town manager, and they stated that the town did pay to have the cameras put in. It does not use anybody's internet at all. But one interesting fact is that they're not enforcing the dumping with their town ordinance, they're enforcing it with the state law. So when they have dumping, someone goes by every morning and looks. If there's dumping, they go look at the cameras and they call their police department. The police department comes, gets the plate number, goes and has a visit with the person who dumped and hands them a ticket, which is tied to their driver's license, so they generally pay the tickets. So they said it's worked out pretty well. The dumping has slowed way down. But they mentioned too that they gave it really good press coverage when they put the cameras in so that people were aware that this was happening. It's also very well signed. You can't miss the signs when you pull in, so they feel that that helped, cut down some of the dumping. I did receive a quote from Home Security Service for a camera system that would monitor our area. It would have the capability of seeing at night from this corner of the building all the way across. And so I attached that actually. And I attached the statute that they're using as well. And I'll be away for the second half of the week of the 16th and probably the entire week after because the office is closed the second half of the next week. So, but I will be installing a program called Log Me In on my home computer on my laptop, so I'll be able to at least do some stuff from home. And I'll be checking my emails, so they'll still be able to get a hold of me. I just won't be here. That's all I have.
This
So-
computer, or this
Yes.
monitoring, did we figure out what category we're gonna take that out of if we do this?
No, I haven't.
It's gotta be something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's still funds in the town office, miscellaneous.
What about computer fund? Is there,
And there could be some left in that.
that's
too.
part of what that would, kind of like that
Yeah.
would be.
I have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
So would the town of Newfane, since we don't have a police force, we would then, if we someone noticed that, somebody had been dumping illegally, would we call the state police and are they gonna zip down and view the camera?
Well, there's an ability to save the photo, you know, to actually take a photo of that reel. So obviously they're not gonna fly down here and,
Right.
you know, respond immediately, but
Is it digital?
yes.
Is there any way that you can, send it to them?
It's possible. I'm not exactly, I mean, I haven't used the system, so I don't know, but.
Okay. The other question is, that's a kind of a stiff cost for the camera.
Yep.
So if we're not going to be keeping the dumpsters,
That was gonna be my
there's
next.
absolutely, I mean, that's not
Yeah.
buying a camera. So we need to know that, I suppose,
Right,
first.
which I was on the phone late this afternoon, and it appears that that's what they're discussing at their next meeting,
Which is
Wednesday night.
this week.
And what are they discussing?
What the future of those recycle bins are,
Uh-huh.
so. I would almost hold off maybe a meeting or two.
Table it till next, put it on the agenda for next meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
see if,
See if we
See if
hear
there's an
from them.
update on it,
yeah.
yeah.
Thank you for all this hard work.
Sure.
Very good.
This is very interesting, and if we were to keep the dumpsters, then I could see perhaps this might be something that we might want to look at and think about budgeting for, the next year. Unless you know of some fund that
I
is
think I
readily
do.
available.
But, well, I'll double check, but I think we have the funds available now.
Okay, so we just need to wait and find out whether or
will.
not they're going to continue, they're gonna keep the dumpsters.
That would be my
or not.
suggestion, is to wait
Yeah.
until, they'll have the next meeting Wednesday, and then I think they'll have another one 2 weeks later, so
So could we follow it up next meeting?
I would, yeah, I would definitely hold off.
Wow, that's pretty interesting.
Anybody got anything else for Shannon?
I think that's it. Thank you, Shannon.
Sure.
New business, budgeting schedule. It's that time of year again, unfortunately. Where normally what we do is, when we start the budget, we do it, we don't do it at regular meetings. We schedule more meetings.
Yay.
And that's what we need to do tonight, is try to figure out when we wanna start doing this. Do you wanna do it like the Mondays in between the regular meetings, or,
Kinda makes sense.
I mean, it's up to you guys.
Yeah, that would be fine.
When do you need the final number, Shannon?
The beginning of January is better.
And how many
Pushed it.
meetings do you usually have?
Before,
You said 4 or so? Or more?
It shouldn't be any more than 4, I don't think, meetings.
I think usually 3 maybe, and then sometimes an extra
I
one.
mean, I've had as many as 12, but I'd really rather
12?
not, please.
One of the things we have to do is make sure the listers have the information for us.
Yeah.
But what we can do is have Shannon get the figures out and maybe talk to some of the town clerk, treasurers, see what their thoughts are, their
I
budget,
usually send them a form to fill out,
so that we can,
so they can estimate what they think they're gonna need.
there's a couple of things that they're fairly good sized items for the highway department, one being a truck.
Yeah.
That truck was supposed to go on this year and it didn't, and that's probably close to a $200,000 truck. And the tractor,
Yeah.
if we go with a tractor, it'd probably be like another 25. So, there's stuff like that that we kinda gotta,
Right.
maybe we can lease a truck, like lease the loader. But just something to think about, that it's gonna be quite an increase in this
Yeah.
year's budget
And then there's this building.
in the building. But hopefully we're gonna maybe do a bond in the building if we get that far.
Yep.
And the technical ways, Hall's requested 23,000 or something for a boiler, but when we get into budget, we can discuss that, but I don't see that happening this year, but maybe. Depends on where we are. You know, you still got the arch bridge staring us in the face. This building, like I said, the equipment, I think it's gonna be, we're gonna have to sharpen our pencils and try to figure out where to put all this. So.
I think that if we could do it on the alternate Mondays, since we're here anyway and we've put Mondays aside, would that work?
Does that work for you? You have to be here.
Okay.
Because you're the one that has to tell us how to do it.
Shannon, we have about approximately 8 Mondays that we could make specifically for budget. Is that in your past history been about an average amount, or do you think that's not enough? Or
Depends on the select board.
It really does. I think this board could probably do it in 4.
I don't
You
know, we
wanna
might
start
want
out-
to buy a lot of things, you know, I mean,
I would start with 4.
4?
And then if we have to go farther, if we get started in November, we've got all of
The other
December.
thing too is that in the past you've set a start time and an end time,
Right.
because
Yeah.
when you're working with that many numbers, trying to do 3-hour
Right.
meetings just isn't.
We're getting into winter weather too, so if it's snowing or something like that.
That's true.
But if we start running way behind for some reason, we'll switch
I
it to
think
the
usually you do 1.5-hour meetings because
Yeah.
that's really the cutoff
Yeah.
when you're.
It's like
That's
normally
exactly-
from 6 to 7:30 or something like
Yeah.
that.
So should we start next week with Monday, November 9th?
The 9th would be, 6
We're,
PM?
Yeah.
we're in the Army now.
And so it begins.
Okay.
You want 6 to 7:30?
Yeah.
Will you have to, this, we don't have the public available for this?
They're more than
So
welcome to
it
be
is-
here, but it's normally just a select board.
So, but it is open?
It's open to
It's
the
open.
public, it's warned, I do minutes.
So you'll have to warn it?
What I usually do is warn them all at once, so that
Oh, good
I
idea.
don't forget
Yeah.
to keep
Excellent.
doing it.
So then the next one would be Monday, November 23rd.
Right, it probably will be the 2nd and the 4th Monday will be budget meetings, and the 1st and 3rd will just be regular general select board.
Is that too far apart, Shannon, from going from the 9th to the 23rd?
I think it'd be okay. I
Give us
mean,
time.
some of the boards would do like Wednesdays,
Right.
just so they could get them done quicker, but I think
You
we've
want
got-
to do it
I
twice a
think
week?
we've got time. I think it's
I think we're
okay.
all right. I think we're all right. We'll start that way. If we run into problems, we can change it.
So do you want to just, for now, we have Monday, November 9th and Monday, the
23rd.
23rd. And then we can plan after that. Is that correct?
You actually have a 5th Monday in November.
What's that?
You have 5 Mondays in
What's the date
November,
though?
the 30th. You could do that one.
Yeah. That'd be 4 meetings or 3 meetings out of 4, so.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're gonna do the 30th also?
Yeah. Have we got
Okay.
anything else? Okay, the next thing was the arch bridge. Prices on the railings. You got those right there?
Yes.
They were really not bids to speak of there.
Oh,
I called them,
They're
they're
still big.
They're just not sealed bids. They weren't supposed to be sealed bids either, so they're bids. I guess you might call them bids.
Oh wait, I think I might have just handed you something wrong. I think I also handed you an access permit.
Yes, you did.
I'll take that back. Thank you.
The first price that we have is from Daniel's Construction at $49,500.
wow.
The next price that we have is from Carpentry by Corwin, which would be Corwin McAllister. That was $31,450. And the last one that I got was from Renault Brothers. That one is for $17,500.
Wow, that's a big difference.
Yeah. I also had contacted Coal River Bridges a couple of times. He never called me back. I'm assuming he's busy, so. But if we go with Renault Brothers, because they're the lowest bid, they would guarantee us that they would have it done by no later than November 25th. And they'd get started on it somewhere after November 6th. All we're really doing there is trying to reface the inner railing of that bridge and try to seal it up, and on the other side where it's cracked, they're gonna mortar that back in so it keeps the water and the frost out of what's happening is the water's getting down here and it's starting to make down below on the sides, like right in here. It's all starting to laminate off. So the bridge inspectors have written us up for it like 3 times now. And when I was talking to Floyd this year, he said, you really need to get that done. So I don't want to put a whole lot of money into it if we're going to replace it, but I think 17,500 wouldn't be a bad thing to do. We've got, I believe there's 50,000 in that bridge fund for that bridge. So.
I have a question about, didn't we talk about another bridge that was done by Renault Brothers that was not up to standard and we
Yeah,
had a problem with?
We worked it out with them, basically. But yeah, we did have an
Yeah.
issue.
So what's going to keep us from having a problem with this one?
Well, we'll sign this. The board will sign this, and that's you'll have to do what's here before he gets paid. So
Do we have any kind of an overseer that would inspect that?
I could check, keep an eye on it, and when they're done, I can ask the bridge inspectors to come down and take a look at it.
Did they make good on the issue with the other bridge?
Pretty much. He said it was a typo on their part. The bridge is much stronger and a lot better bridge than what was there before. So, if it was the other way around, I would have been real clear about it. Mike, you dealt with a lot of that, so.
Yeah, and the other thing is just that he never sent the plan up to the state, right?
Right. And he has
Which
now.
they've done that, and the other thing was Southern Vermont Engineering anyways, on
Right.
the other bridge, so.
Right.
That's all been taken care of too, so.
So this is just going to be approved by the select board.
Right.
So we'll need to make sure that we have somebody that's keeping an eye on this and making sure that the materials are up to snuff and so
Well,
maybe
Todd
we
just
should,
said that he would
yeah,
keep an
maybe
eye
we
on.
should definitely let them know that somebody's going to be watching this work and that they need.
Yeah, I mean, when Shannon sends us back,
I'm a little leery because of the last time.
we could put a note on or something.
I don't think I have no problem.
They've done a lot of good work for us.
They've done a
Didn't
lot
they
of
do
bridges for
Bridge
us.
13? Was that right now?
They did one by the South Newfane store,
Yeah, that's, what number is that, Bridge 14 or?
14.
14.
Then they did the Green Iron Bridge in Brookline.
And they also
They
did,
did the Green Iron Bridge in South Newfane.
And the
They've done a lot of
bridge-
bridges
and
for
the
us.
bridge
I
to
mean, they-
nowhere.
They did,
they do a lot of work
Yeah,
around
they
there.
did the
Also,
Lynch Bridge, yeah.
yeah,
I think they're pretty reputable
yes, they are.
company.
They've done a lot of work for us.
I actually would not, I would suggest not to say to them, we're going to have somebody keep an eye on you. I think we have
Well,
to,
not like that, but we just have somebody overseeing and making sure that.
well, they'll see
Well,
that.
Todd will be there anyway.
Well, Todd will be there, they'll see that. But I think that we have to respect that they're professionals, that whatever happened that time is not how they normally function. And just to, work on good faith that they're gonna take care of it. They're an excellent company, they're all around Southern Vermont here, I see them a lot. And they're well known. That's my opinion.
Well, they've done good work for us. That was, what happened there wasn't good, but they worked it out with us, so. And the bridge is much better than what it was before, so.
I mean, you really didn't call for no specs or anything on this anyway, we just wanted them to patch that cement, right?
Right.
They're gonna pour along the side of it, and
I can read it to you if you want me to read it. It just tells what they're gonna do. Renault Brothers respectfully submits a proposal of $17,500 to repair the inside faces of the curb wall on the Depot Road Eric's Bridge. On the east side, Renault Brothers would remove would remove, I think it meant any loose concrete by hand, form up the length of the bridge excluding the wing walls, install a 12 by 12 by number 4 reinforcing grid, and place concrete to infill the voids and create smooth inside face. On the west curb, Renault Brothers would remove any loose concrete by hand and hand patch with mortar and concrete all the voids to restore the curb to its original dimensions and appearance. The bridge would have to be taken out of service for the daytime hours of crews on site. If awarded the project by November 6th, 2015, Renault Brothers commits to completing the project by November 25th. What is the board's pleasure? Somebody,
I make a motion to accept the bid.
I second the motion.
motion's been made and seconded to hire Renault Brothers not to exceed $17,500 for repairs to the railings on the Arch Bridge. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstaining? The ayes have it. We're gonna do personnel, but if we're gonna do personnel, we really need to do that in executive session, so we can either go into executive session now or wait until unfinished business. Does it matter if we wait till unfinished business? We got it down
We
here.
should do it.
Do
You
we
can
have
change
town
the
office
order.
building?
Hmm.
You're allowed to change the order of the agenda as long as all the items are on there. So
Wouldn't it make
yes.
more sense to go into executive session at the end?
Probably.
What is the nature of the executive session?
Personnel.
Maybe I could save it till
If we
later.
wait, yeah, do we
Yeah, why don't
do
we wait till the,
unfinished business or something like that, then we can do it.
Yeah.
Alright, old business, town office building. Is there an update on that, building committee?
We need a motion or anything?
It's okay, just change the order.
Is there any discussion from the building committee on the Arch Bridge?
Actually, I missed I wasn't at the meeting, so.
Oh, right, I was looking at you to make an update.
I was at the last town office.
You were there.
Meeting. I didn't know that we were supposed to speak about it, but
You could just report, I mean, to me, it seemed like they really wanted to check the floodplain regulations before going
That's
into
right.
any kind of real estate negotiations. That was really what the meeting was about. So they're gonna do that research. But they were actually here, Friday to look at the roof and the leaks. They spent a lot of time up in the attic. They spent a lot of time up on the roof. And mentioned that it's really, really overdue for a new roof. So they were back today with heating and plumbing specialists who were looking at the system. They said the system really isn't a bad one. It's big enough for this building, but the ductwork is really lacking. They did recommend a new programmable thermostat. They mentioned that the heat is coming out from those ducts and going right up the chimney that's right there that's not blocked, which is taking most of our heat. And these cold air returns are all along this end, which means all the hot air drops right before it gets to the people working. So that's why we're cold.
Makes it more fast.
I was very impressed at the meeting with how knowledgeable and thorough they are. And this is obviously not that new to them. They go to different large, even towns. They did Windwall and the Austin campus. And I'm so confident that we have them, and I'm really appreciative as a citizen that we have that team looking into this whole town office problem. Yes.
I went to see David today, not as a member of this, not an official visit, and the work they've done so far is unbelievable.
careful about it, I think.
Right. I mean, the designs for this building, for a new building, for addition to this building, they've got it all covered already. I had a question for him, which he didn't have an answer for. We got a heck of a lot of grants to have this silly paving out here done. What happens if within a year or two we move next door? What's our responsibility as to the grants for the park and ride?
It could still remain a parking, right?
Yeah, but the new owner may not want it that way.
Well, you'd have to put that in the
Contract.
contract with the new owner, I think.
I imagine if you went with a new building, we'd spring for the blacktop too, wouldn't we?
I think you'd have.
On the other
But
part.
maybe not a parking
I
ride.
mean, the question is, how committed are we as a town to a park and ride? Was this just a whim that we followed through on, or is it statewide thing?
Oh, it's a grant.
That's a grant, yeah, I know.
I'm not sure it's a total win, we just did it because let's have a park and ride.
It was a grant that the town didn't necessarily go searching for the grant. The state was really looking for towns to do this.
Trying to promote the idea of park and ride.
So,
I mean, basically, we don't have a program for a park and ride. We don't have a bus running through.
no.
We don't have arrangements for, whatever you call it, when you go hop in.
Carpooling.
Carpooling, there you go. The brain is gone. So we haven't got any arrangements like that. So we're not really, we're just merely a paved parking lot.
The bus part of it, they're working on through Wyndham Regional. They're trying to get a bus route, but if the bus comes down, it'll pick up out here, out front, not come in the parking lot. But I don't see where it would really affect the grant any.
There were not a lot of requirements for the grant.
Because you could still use it for park ride. You just write that, I think you'd write that in the deed
Sure.
somewhere that it would have to remain, just so we didn't get in trouble.
Well, this would only be an issue if we were going to sell this building,
That's
Right.
right.
which may not even be the case.
Right.
Right.
I mean,
You have to cross that bridge when and if it comes.
If the bridge still stands.
Yeah. Which one? There's one out of 50. Anybody got anything else for the building committee?
Yeah, I just had one question. Was the interest from the potential buyer on this building, was the interest?
Yes.
It was there. Okay,
It's real, on both sides. It's
Yeah.
real.
good.
Anything else? Hearing none, cell service follow-up. Marion, I believe that would be you.
Okay. Well, there's nothing very new, unfortunately. I emailed Emily Long as Todd's suggestion. She's representative for Wyndham County. And I told her about the suggestions and the requests that are not new, but they're ongoing, that we get cell phone service in Newfane. And also that people have questions about the cell phone tower that's on Browns Way. When is it going to start, functioning? And the other question is that our other providers, in addition to AT&T, who owns this tower, will they be able to have use of the tower to service their customers? And so the first thing is that Emily said that the cell phone tower should be in operation by the spring of 2016. That she did not know, but would be willing to find out if the AT&T tower is going to be renting whatever it is, shares or something, so that other providers can use them. I also, and Emily also understood in terms of what the gentleman, Dennis Warren, who I mentioned last week, was suggesting after he reported to me that as a vendor at the Heritage Festival, that they lost business when people couldn't use their credit card or PayPal. Emily, in her email to me, let me know that she, in addition, she also was a vendor at that Heritage Festival, and so she certainly knows what's going on, and she said unfortunately that's the situation with a lot of fairs these days and festivals, and certainly we're all hoping, but nobody has an answer. We're all hoping that we will get cell phone service, certainly in Newfane. I also emailed a gentleman who has been the attorney for the project of putting up the AT&T tower on Browns Way. His name is Will Dodge, Esquire. And I told him that of our concerns of Newfane Village, same as I told Emily, and also asked him specifically about the AT&T tower since he's been working with it. And he initially told me he would get some information and get back to me. He did today. And again, there's no guarantee. He's hoping that the cell phone tower will be in effect with usage no later than April of 2016. He said that as of now, no other providers have stepped forward and suggested or requested that they can use that tower also, but he thinks it's because it's a little too early yet, because the service won't start till next year. And he said that he would keep us informed. Emily Long offered to come to the select board meeting and speak to us and to the residents of Newfane at any time that we might want her to come. We can make a date. So I really, really appreciate her stepping up and offering to do that. And I also was very grateful with the attorney, Will Dodge, with his very prompt response to me. And that's all I can say right now about it.
Anybody got anything else? Thank you for looking into that. That was
Yeah.
good. Maybe at some point we'll get together with Emily. Nobody got anything else? Personnel policy and job descriptions discussion.
Well, I have some things to say about job descriptions, but since personnel policy comes first, I'm hoping that maybe Dennis will have something to say about this.
No, you know, I really don't. I finally printed this up today and I browsed through it and it was updated, I guess, last January.
Mhm.
I had some minor questions on it, but I would have to really spend more time in it than I have so far to really have too much to offer on it.
Well, the most pressing issue on the personnel policy is to get it in sync with what we're actually doing as far as personal time for employees. So we need to maybe take care of that this evening, and so that we can go ahead and make sure that our personnel policy reflects accurately what is being done.
Well, can I ask you what your concern is? Because in my reviewing the personnel policy, excuse me, it said, it spoke about the number of days for sick day. It did speak about personal time. It did speak about vacation time. So can you tell me what specifically you're talking about?
Personnel time, that the number of days that you accrue and versus the number of days that you have to use each year.
Well, it said that you have to use all of them.
But we have we been doing that? No, we haven't.
We
been
don't do
doing
that with sick time either.
You don't do what?
We haven't been doing that with sick time either.
Have not done what? Use them?
Right, we accrue them from year to
Well,
year.
No, you have not accrued them. It says in the personnel policy, what I read,
What
is
page are
that
we
you
on?
have to use them up within
Right.
that year.
Yes. Yeah.
But we have been accruing them.
Yes, they have been
Been
accruing.
accruing them. And why were you doing that?
Well, I mean, if you get,
I personally haven't been doing them, but that the system
No, I'm just,
automatically accrues them.
that's what
was
it's
that an
scheduling.
assumption?
Well, I think that if you were to get seriously hurt on a job, or all of a sudden you had a family member that had cancer and you had to take a whole bunch of time off, that's what the sick time is there for. So if you accrued it, you had that much there to use. It was only when you left employment for the town of Newfane, you could not take it with you.
Take it. I don't have one in front of me, but
Do you know the exact page and, that is on, what section that's on?
Page
I don't
15.
have it in front of me.
Dennis?
Page
15.
15.
I would almost recommend making a work group
To go over.
instead of trying to.
So what would, how would we craft, what would the wording be?
I don't know. I don't have one in front of me, and I
Oh,
don't.
here,
Maybe what we should do is, like Shannon said, is get a little committee together, 2 or 3 people, and go through whatever we need to go through, then bring it back in a meeting when we're ready to.
Let me just make a suggestion, and I think I mentioned this at the last meeting.
you did.
The way this currently reads, full-time employees earn 5 days of sick leave per year. Sick leave may be accumulated indefinitely, however, upon termination of the employee or retirement, no compensation shall be granted.
Right.
Now, maybe we need two types of sick leave. Your 5 days that you get when you annually, that if you don't use it, okay, at the end of the year you can get paid for it. That's fine. I think most companies do that. Maybe there should be something separate. For example, if somebody does have a long-term situation where they're out for, say, surgery or cancer or something like that, and they're out for 6 months, where it would be a separate policy, and I'll just offer something for the company that I retired from. They used to give you 1 month long-term sick leave per year for each year you were with the company up to 12 months. So up to 12 years. So the most you could, let me repeat that. You got 1 month of long-term sick leave per year, up to 12 years. So for 12 years, you get 12 months. That was the max. So if you had a long time illness, you just got paid for 12 months. But I mean, it had to be a bona fide long-term illness. But that was a separate policy that you could not take that with you or anything like that. It just, and I'm not offering that as, I'm just offering that as a, as an alternative.
Okay, I have a question in terms of when you say that when somebody leaves, they cannot take it with you. So there are different reasons why people leave. Either they have worked here and decided to move on to another job, or they've worked here and they've worked for enough years so that they can retire from this job, right? Or they're working and they decide, not to work anymore, and they're going home and they're not of retirement age. I looked up the cumulative absence reserve. That was a policy for the teachers of the Board of Education in New York City. Because I know that when I was a teacher, and I mentioned this the last time, you were allowed to save your sick days if you didn't use them. Now, if you retired at your retirement age and you were qualified to retire, you were allowed to accumulate up to 200 days of sick leave, and then you would get paid for half of them. So if you worked for your full time up until retirement age, and you got the most you were allowed to have is 200 days, you would get paid for 100 days upon retirement, spread out over 3 separate payments. However, if you left your job, just in the middle, you didn't get it. So I think, first of all, we have to define when we talk about when somebody leaves. Are they leaving because they're fully retired? Are they leaving because they've been here for 1 or 2 years and expect to carry this sick? What does that mean when they carry their sick days with them? What does that mean when you said that gentleman who was leaving to go to another job somehow hoped or assumed that he might?
That was personal time.
Right.
Sick leave, he would not.
Right.
Right.
He would not take.
And he knew that, but he
Right.
was thinking
But the
personal
personal
time.
time. So, okay, so with the personal time, what did he think, that he was going to
Well,
get paid for them?
somehow, years ago, it was said that personal time you could accrue as much as you wanted to. And when you left, you got paid for that.
That's in the 1992 policy that I found.
Right.
Somewhere along the line, and I have no idea where, it got dropped out of there.
You couldn't take sick time with you. You could only take 3 weeks, 15 days, I think, vacation time when you leave. But you could take all the personal time because you've accrued it.
Mhm.
That's the way it was always explained to us, but that's not what was written in here.
So-
But to dwell on this all night, it was,
So, the way it's written in here is you cannot accrue personal time.
Yeah, I couldn't even find where it said anything about it.
So it appears that the vote to make sure that what we're doing in real life and what is actually in here needs to be the same.
Well, I think we need to have a discussion probably at some point, maybe tonight's not the right night for it. I mean, I personally don't think, just regular sick days and personal days, I don't think you should be able to accumulate them.
Right.
I think you use them or lose them. But I do feel that that person that gets that long-term illness, that may keep them out of work for 6 months, and there may be insurances, like Aflac and such, that we could investigate, that we could participate in the cost of that, may take care of things like that also. But I think they're two different issues. But,
They are.
you know, you wake up in the morning, you got a cold, you call in sick, and you use a sick day, and then at the end of the year you got 4, I don't think you should be able to take those with you if you leave the company.
Well, that would be in sync with what it says.
Yeah, exactly.
So that
We just
that
need to
we don't
add
need
personal days
talk
to
about. Yeah,
Right.
right,
Yeah.
right, unless we want to change the personnel policy. But we just want to make sure that what we're doing and the personnel policy are the same thing. That's all
Dennis,
that
can
we
I
need to
borrow
do.
your copy real quick?
I could almost see the sick days like where you guys are talking about accruing them, as long as you were still working.
right,
You
I
know,
think
but
that's
you can't-
why,
You couldn't take them with you, but say like, you know, if he was working and he never took any sick days, and all of a sudden there was something to come up that 2 months, and he had it all approved that, I could see him
But
doing
when you retire or
you lose,
take another job, you lose them.
but you would know that ahead of time.
That's right.
Or the other incentive that a lot of companies use as an incentive for you not to take your sick days is to pay you for them at the end of the year. You get 5, if you don't use 5,
Yeah.
and that's it, you're done. You're not carrying it over and creating an expense at a later date, you paid it out. And then if the employee, I guess, you know, people unfortunately aren't very responsible nowadays, but I guess you could start saving that money for that long-term illness, but, you know.
I'd almost rather see where you accrue them, because, I mean, if you're really sick, you know, you may need it.
Well,
And
for
if not, you just get
long-term?
another week's vacation at the end of the
They
year,
stuck it in with holidays.
5 days.
Personal?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But are you talking, Mike, of long-term or?
I think if you're working, you know, yeah, if you're working here, you know, if you get 5 days, whatever it is, sick days, whatever year, and if you're working here 10 years, now all of a sudden you got, you know, 50 days. Something you get sick and you're down and out or whatever, you got 2 months worth of pay, you know, as long as you're still working here.
Yeah,
I'm not saying no, if you go on your way, you know, you can take that with you, the 50 days,
That's
but.
right.
That's
At
the way it
least,
is.
yeah.
That's another
That's the
option,
way-
yeah.
But I mean, it's like an
Right.
insurance that you don't have to worry
As
about,
long
at
as
least you
you're
know you're
working
getting some pay.
here.
That's what I think that personnel policy basically says.
and I think that, I believe that you should be able to carry your sick days from one year to the next. I mean, if people are responsible and come to work every day that they can, and if they have a little cold, they just come to work anyway because they want to be accountable for their positions and not just take the day off, why shouldn't they not be able to save those sick days and carry them on to the next year or more?
Right. As I say, it might be better for, because like you're saying, trying to look into another insurance and everything, this is just gonna cost the town a couple weeks of pay or
But they
whatever.
wouldn't be able to take them with them if they
No.
decided later.
No, but while they're here.
That's what it says,
That's
pretty
a
much.
possibility.
That is what it already
Yeah.
says.
They can do the same thing with the personal time, really.
That's what I feel too. I think that it
Make
should
them
be.
both the same.
Yeah,
But you just can't take them with you when
When
you
you
leave.
leave.
right.
I would maybe just take this sick
Because
time
now you're
one
just encouraging people to
and
take
add it
another
to
week off.
personal,
To
even
personal
though
time.
I don't really think personal time belongs in the middle of holidays. It's there at least.
Yeah,
And I would just
Yeah.
add the sick paragraph to the,
You wanna do that and then bring it up the next meeting for us to
Yep.
vote on?
Yeah, can you draft that for us and then
Yeah.
we can actually have a vote on it next
Yep.
time?
that does, I like, that does make sense, I think that's
To have
probably
the,
something.
I
Yeah.
mean, for
Yeah,
now, I'm
the,
not saying it doesn't
sick
need
days
help,
and-
but
Yeah,
Sick days and personal days can be saved for the
We'll
next.
give Shannon enough time to
So
do
you
that for the
want
next
them-
meeting.
you wanna be able to take them when you leave or not take them when you leave?
No.
Not take
not
it.
take them when you leave,
Personal time.
but be able to
Right.
accumulate them
But
for a
accumulate,
long
so
term.
just like
for
sick
a long-term
says.
illness.
Right.
Okay.
Where are you gonna
Okay.
take them to when you leave?
When you're gonna,
You get paid for them. in other
Paid
words.
for 'em.
No, get paid for them.
Right, you would,
You don't want
oh,
to
I love
agree
it,
to.
but I don't think it's
no,
fair.
it's not fair.
Well, what about a percentage of it?
Well,
No,
No.
it's sick time. I think, I mean,
It
I
is.
like Mike's suggestion better than the one that I made. I think that's a good idea.
Why don't you let Shannon
Just
work
let
on
them accumulate it
and
for sick purposes only.
Right.
it? We'll bring it
I
up the
would
next
prefer
meeting.
people start taking their sick time when they're sick.
Yeah.
No. Absolutely.
Okay, so Shannon's gonna work on that for the next meeting.
and job descriptions?
Job descriptions with budget time coming, I don't know. We
It's a
can
lot
put it
to
on
take
the,
on.
keep putting it on the agenda, and if we get
The
time,
o-
we'll work on it.
The only job description that I'm particularly adamant about getting, because they, believe me, all of the road crew and the road commissioner and road foreman, the last time this job description was written was in 1992 and 1996. That's grievously out of date. So those have all got to be redone, and we can't run a town with when our job descriptions are over 20 years old. However, we are getting crunched up to budget time and all of these other things that are on our agenda, so we may have to put the majority of them aside until,
We can
we
keep
have
putting them on
time.
like we do down here.
right. But the one that does need to be written is the one for the new part-time seasonal road crew person, because
I
that's
got a simple one.
right in front of us.
Job description, whatever the boss tells them to do.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, that doesn't stand up, that's lovely, but it doesn't stand up in a court of law.
The job description
And-
should be, the boss
Oh,
doesn't
that's a
do.
good
I
one.
just made that as a motion.
Is there a second to that motion?
I like that.
I would
Is
definitely
there
be
a
opposed to
board
that one.
member that'd be willing to take my draft and fix it for next meeting?
Yeah, I did see your draft, I liked it very much.
So we can do that at the next meeting too, if you have
Well,
it.
if somebody other than me is willing to take a crack at it,
I'll take a crack at it.
using this draft and just,
I'll volunteer to take a crack at it,
okay, that's.
You guys get
fine.
together and figure out a time to do it.
and then we can vote on it next meeting, because it's an ASAP thing. We're hiring now, this is the right time to make sure that we have a decent job description that actually has a date of 2015 on it as a revision.
Everybody good with that?
Yeah. No, we don't want them, what do I do, boss? Well, I don't really know.
We gotta get a hold of the road commissioner to find
That's
out.
right. Well, we just want to make sure
You tell me.
that if we are an employer of the town, that we want to actually have a job description that will stand up
Yeah.
and be accurate.
Wouldn't you want to,
Retire? Yes, I did.
What?
I said
well, that
retire.
was my next question. Wouldn't you want to consult with the road commissioner?
The
or
road commissioner, the road
in terms
foreman
of-
has to actually approve this, his big time.
I'm talking about a job description. Wouldn't you want to find out what they want the
Absolutely.
person to do rather than we think it up?
You got it right. In
Shannon's
fact,
been looking into it.
Did you, I've been looking into it too.
Dovers and there's,
Both of us have contacted other towns, and we have a draft. Now, he, as the foreman, he must look at that, add extra things to it, cross things out that he doesn't want, that he doesn't think are practical, that he doesn't actually require, those types of things. But the draft is something that we can do and save him some time.
We want to save you time.
Yeah, because, I mean, it's just not, when we get to it, we'll get to it.
Yeah, so we'll have it ready for you next, well, you'll see it before the meeting.
Yeah,
We'll send it to you.
nice. Okay,
Do we need to vote on it?
you know, you and Shannon are gonna get together,
Okay.
give her a call when she's available. You guys kind of work through it. Where am I here? Unfinished, now,
Yes,
we're
mine
at
is
recycling
bedtime.
bins.
We already kind of did that.
We already discussed the recycling
We
bins,
did.
didn't we? Unfinished business, park and ride, we discussed that. FEMA closeouts, we kind of discussed that.
Mhm.
Is there any other thing for the FEMA closeouts? There's nothing else going, right? Okay, well,
Yeah, a
then
couple
we're,
people walk in, or later, I don't know, maybe they're under new business or something, though.
Anybody in the
Audience wanna
audience
bring it up?
want to make comments or suggestions? No, thank you. Thank you for coming.
Good.
Everybody's a little sleepy tired because of the time change?
all right, if there's nothing else, I would entertain a motion to go into executive session for a personnel issue.
Good night, thank you, have a good evening.
Mike,
Thank you for coming.
Bye-bye.
Mike moved it, is there a second?
Second.
The motion's been made, seconded, to go into executive session for a personnel issue. All those in favor? Opposed or abstaining? We are officially going into executive session at 7:12 PM.
Alright.
Wait, I'm on recycle bins.
They
Would
came out of
any-
executive session at 7:37, they made that motion.
7:37.
So they are back into the regular meeting.
Yes, we're back into the regular meeting and, would anyone,
I'll
does
make a
anyone have a
motion.
motion?
Yeah, I make a motion, we increase John Snow's pay to $17.50 an hour.
I second that
is-
motion.
The motion has been made and seconded that we increase Jon Snow's hourly wage to $17.50 an hour. Do we have any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? There isn't anybody opposed. It's unanimous.
I
Are you
I recused myself, so.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
I think we're done with it,
We
everything
are.
except for correspondence. Anyway, do we have any correspondence?
No,
No correspondence.
Beautiful.
So we have
We
pay
covered everything
orders.
else, right? Just make sure I did that.
Thank you very much.
We're down to pay orders, so
Thank you very
thank you very
much.
much.